The Oracle Network.
Welcome to Brew Crime. I'm Mike, and my co-presenter today is...
I'm Eric Carter-Landin. I'm the host of True Consequences podcast, co-host of Dos Spookqueños, and co-host of Great Laugh at Life.
Ooh, I love that co-ghost.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we've got another co-host today.
I am the flavor text. This is JT. I'm back. I just couldn't stay away from your beautiful Canadian smile, Mike.
Woohoo! Well, glad to have you back again.
Yay!
All right. Well, this episode is going to be on New Mexico cults because that is where Eric is from.
I stick to what I know.
Hey, why not, right? Not enough crime in VCA. No.
It ain't
not
broke,
true.
and there's always enough of it. So
yeah, exactly. Sure. People just seem to want to listen to more about American crime, it seems.
It's because it's really messed up usually.
And there's lots of it.
It's hard to take somebody seriously when they're saying sorry the whole time.
True.
Just a knife. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Oh, I just insulted like 75% of your listening. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Believe me, I know we have plenty of faults on this side of the river. There's no doubt.
Yeah, the only way we can feel better about ourselves is projecting onto other people. Honestly.
How dare you be so nice?
Exactly. All right. Well, the beer that I chose to pair with this episode, because it's all about cults, I picked The More You Know. Kind of, the more you know, further you go away from them. This is
ideally.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a collaboration between Another Beer Co. and Sundown Beer Company. And it is a big sour bursting with yuzu, papaya, and kiwi.
Sounds fruity.
Yes.
Yummy.
Yeah, it's got it's a slightly tart nose. It's a little bit sweet, and there's definitely lots of fruit coming out of it. A lot of tropical fruits. A little bit of kiwi. I don't even know what a yuzu smells like or tastes like, so I'll have to assume it's one of them.
I think it's a little citrusy.
It's got a lot of head.
Yeah, it's lively beer. It's not super sour. It's definitely just more tart. Sort of that citric acid thing going on. It's a little bit sweet, but it's really, really tropical, really, really fruity. A little bit of kiwi and probably yuzu and stuff. Really easy to crush this on a hot day, which it is here today. So this is much better than the cults.
I love a good sour. I want to hear about these cults. I think I heard about one or two in Canada, didn't I, Mike?
There are some here, yep, but that's not what we're covering today.
No, we are not. This is sure to be fun.
Yes, that's one way to put it. I guess I'll go first here. So I'm going to be covering the Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps. What a name.
They sound like they're really nice. They like to have potlucks and they like to crochet.
But they like to crochet really hard, just really aggressively.
Yeah.
Just...
Have you seen that video online about the heavy metal crocheting or whatever knitting contest?
No, but I need to be a part of that because I know how to crochet.
Exist. So
Eric can do everything.
Yes, just stay away from this cult, yeah. Because
I'm basically a grandma.
As a person who is not religious, when I hear the name of this cult, I already have issues because what a church is supposed to be is absolutely not aggressive, but also this kind of shit is really spreading and spreading fast. I hope to show this group is scary and not the norm unless you compare it to other groups like the Christian Identity Movement, which is also really fucking scary.
Eric Rudolph.
So let's start with some history. Jim Green was born in 1946 in Kentucky and was raised in a Christian house. He would grow up and become a hippie like so many kids did in this time in history. No surprise, right? He would make his way to California for what I can only assume was sex, drugs, and peace and love. By the late 1960s, he would drift again, and this time he'd be found in Montana.
How? Wait a second. Peace, drugs, and some rock and roll, I'm sure. And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to Montana.
Yeah, this California thing's not working.
That's quite the jump.
Yes. So Deborah Green, once known as Lila, was born in 1948. I didn't find a lot of info on her growing up, but she would admit grudgingly to liking Elvis Presley and the Beatles as a younger person. Scandal, eh?
She grudgingly would admit
Yes, grudgingly, yes.
Okay. All right.
In the 1970s, the two would join a wacky group in Montana called the Bear Tribe. Jim would take on the name Buffalo Sun, which is kind of fun.
Buffalo Sun, yeah.
Yes. But he was not a fun dude, as he was getting into blood ceremonies, and he was delving into the pleasures in pain, or what I have to assume is BDSM. But non-consensual, it seems.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You lost me on that one.
Yeah. But they would also live in teepees and run around in almost no clothing and howl at the moon.
Well, that explains Montana.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a fun time for everyone, okay? Don't knock it till you try it.
You're right. I can't say much. I haven't done it.
Yeah, except for that middle sentence, it sounds like a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
You add that in and it's like, damn it.
Howl at the moon. Live in a teepee.
Yeah. They would blast what was then considered hard rock music and do lots of drugs.
Nickelback. Sorry, Mike. I know they're from your area.
Yeah, unfortunately. Deborah would attempt suicide at least 3 times and possibly more. It's safe to say she was not in a good place. Deborah was a burnout from the sounds of it, and this is when Jesus found her. Or, as her quote says, Jesus Christ reached down his hand of mercy and brought me out of the captivity of sin, freeing me of a life of drugs, free sex, and rock music. Fucking rock music, am I right?
It really, I mean, there's no end to the destruction that can be caused by rock music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you play it backwards.
That's when it sounds the best. Backwards. Satan talks to you and everything.
Yeah, I know. I start pulling knives out of things instead of putting them in. Just playing it backwards.
I mean, it sounds like Jesus rescued him from a really good party to me, but to each their own. You know, sex and drugs and rock and roll.
If you're in it.
Yeah. The two would move to Kentucky after that stage of their lives, and they would join a local church and get very involved. James would take the next step and start the process of joining the pastor rank, studying under the current pastor for 4 years. They would then head on a very colonial missionary trip through South America before ending up in Miami, Florida.
I just assume that things like that are like, who was in the band in high school? Anybody? It's like getting on a band bus.
Yeah.
There is nothing kosher about a band bus at all. And that is, I feel like that is a worldwide understanding.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel missions are.
In 1978, James and Deborah would join up with the Salvation Army. Now, I had no idea that the Salvation Army had a military structure and officers, but they do. And this is where the two would take inspiration for their future cult. The Salvation Army probably also helped instill their hate for the LGBT community, sadly, as they have a bad history of discrimination against the community, which a lot of people don't know.
I knew.
Yeah.
I feel like it's buried in everybody's.
Yeah.
Just something. I don't understand what they get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It would not take long for them to break off and start their own deal with the Free Love Missionaries in 1979. This would start as an Orthodox Christian movement, but things would drift.
They would Tokyo drift. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, currently not Tokyo.
Well,
They've been almost everywhere else. Deborah would claim that she was God's number one prophet, which is always concerning when someone claims that.
Red flag, run for your life. It's about to get really messed up really fast.
Yes. She would also begin to make up prophecies, would chant, and speak in tongues while squirming around on the floor.
I mean,
At least she's doing exercise.
You say that a little bit judgmentally, but I mean, that's just like Thursday for me. So I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I gotta go to your Thursdays.
Whatever
Holy
works
crap.
for you.
The voices thing. Is it performance? Is it to prove a point? Is it?
I'll never know. I don't know. If I had made it this far, I would be like, fuck this, I'm out. Because this is already like, this is getting a little too much.
And it
It'd be
gets
like
so much worse.
Oh,
it'd be
yes.
like that gif of Peter Griffin going down the stairs, like, I'm out.
Peace. In and around 1981, the name of the group would morph to Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps and be located in Sacramento, California. So moved back to California. And when they'd be seen in public, and that would be a lot, they would be in military-style clothing with the cult's logo right on the front. Members of the cult would live on compound grounds for the most part, which is par for the course for most cults, as they want to remove you from your people you love and rely on.
And that's like first step, right? They like bring you in with very confusing language and roundabout talk, and then they're like, you can't talk to anybody that you used to know anymore.
Yeah.
Hey guys, there's this meeting that I go to on Saturdays. There's no obligation and there's free punch and cookies. You should come.
Be right there.
Did you say free cookies?
Yeah, there's no obligation except for the $600 brainwash weekend fee. Other than that, it's fine.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I heard $600. Sure, I'm in.
Yeah. And the whole weekend, the doors will be locked and you can't leave.
Right.
Oh. Kinky. Great.
So this is a quote about a radio show that they had. Their show on KFIA, a Sacramento Christian radio station, regularly warned listeners to brace for war against satanic forces responsible for such modern scourges as homosexuality, psychoanalysis, fornication, rock and roll, and pride. KFIA removed Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps from their airwaves in 1984.
And Peter, Paul, and Mary. How dare they?
Yeah.
They probably had like this list of all the bad things on the wall. And they just like pulled things out every now and again. They're like, we need something to talk about. Dandelions. We hate those.
But you're just going to do it really angrily, probably. I just have to assume they're going to be kind of like Alex Jones.
That's it, Alex
Jones, yeah. Just think Alex Jones. It's probably what this sounded like.
The ignorance is so palpable.
Mara Schmierer, I think is their name, a former member of the cult, would get very vocal about the group after she left. This is a quote from the Dr. Phil show that she was on. I was not allowed to see or talk to my children for 6 months. There was a shed in the backyard. I was ordered to move into that shed. There were no windows in the shed. It was filled with mildew. You couldn't stand upright. No bath, no shower for 6 months. I was excommunicated.
Holy shit.
Now, what you need to do is you need to apologize to yourself for that happening. That's my terrible Dr. Phil.
I mean, it wasn't far off.
I just need to lose my hair. It'll be fun.
There you go. Due to her terrible treatment in 1988, Morrow would sue the cult for $20 million in damages. After much bullshit and the Greens not showing up in court at all, they would be mandated to pay Mara $1.2 million in damages. Because the Greens had no way to produce the cash in this decision, their compound was seized by the courts. They would move not far from their original location and try to set up once again, but they would be thwarted as the lawyer for the lawsuit I mentioned would put a lien on the new property. Yeah.
Just lean after lean after lean.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, we should just push. Let's not lean. Let's just, can we just shove them?
Exactly.
Shove them out.
When they realized they failed miserably, they pulled up their roots and moved to Klamath Falls, Oregon. Things were not going well for the cult, though, as they were down to about 19 members at this point. They would preach about and distribute literature against abortion, homosexuals, rap and rock music, and other sins. Their shit doesn't change. They just keep adding something else they hate, you know? Now it's rap music, too.
You kids and your loud bass-driven music. How dare you put it away or bear the demons from hell?
Yeah. One thing I never understood, why doesn't anyone ever hate on punk music? Because there's more anti-Christian punk music than most other styles of music.
Because they're afraid of punks.
Ah, maybe.
Yeah, I just feel like you end up seeing the punks in person and you're just like, aw. Half the time.
Could be, yeah. But they're always scared of metalheads, and then, like, No Effects could really offend them pretty fast. One of my favorite bands.
Such a good band.
Yeah. It was also at this time that they took on another alternate moniker in Life Force Team. This one didn't really stick, but it's just like, what the hell?
It's like Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah. Here's a quote. Publications of the group express a strong homophobia, asserting that homosexuality is an abomination, that a homosexual or lesbian cannot be a Christian unless giving up completely their sexual practices, and that homosexuals and lesbians who die without repenting are doomed to eternal predation. Accordingly, churches that accept homosexuals as legitimate or admit them as clergy are denounced as false Christians.
I just want to know where they determined that their definition of everything was the most official. And what gives them that right? Really? Also, go jump in a lake, Life Force. Go jump in a lake.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to know where you bought your Audacity, because I could use some of that Audacity. Thanks.
Yeah. So a little bit more of this quote. In some publications, members take pride of having confronted homosexuality in the 1980s, even in the heart of sodomite San Francisco. It's just like, jeez.
Sodomite San Francisco.
Yeah, they're just, yeah.
It's like, can you imagine if these folks, all of them, even today, because we all know this is a reality today, if they put that energy towards something beneficial to this world, I don't know, like helping people out, or raising money, or making change. Like, can you imagine the amount of like good they could do?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it blows my mind.
But why do good when you can do what they're doing, right?
I think it's a cop-out. It's an easy way out. It's easy to spew hate.
Yeah.
Why do good when there's so much money to be made being hateful?
Dang. Yeah, that's on point. Seriously on point.
I spew a bunch of words and then Eric hits 8 and boom, point made.
Yeah. And done. Finally, in 1993, the Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps would move to the state of New Mexico.
Represent.
And at first they would settle in, is it Gallup? And then later Fence Lake?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know where those are.
So Gallup is on the western border of New Mexico off of Interstate 40. It is really close to the giant Navajo Nation.
Oh.
And a lot of Navajo reservation residents will go to Gallup for shopping. Gallup has about 45,000 people. Fence Lake is a little bit south of there and very remote in the mountains. Small area.
Nice.
Daggone. The Encyclopedia Brown of New Mexico.
Doubt. The cult had some crazy ideas, including, quote, Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps has never believed or does believe now that a Christian can be possessed by a demon, but rather that Christians may possess one or more demons, and it is the Christian's responsibility to drive them out. The basis for this deliverance belief is held by them as, where is it here? Jesus cast out devils, Luke 11:20 and 13:32, and Jesus' disciples cast out devils, Luke 9:1, and Jesus commands his disciples to cast out the devils, Matthew 10. Yeah, so, they find these scriptures that probably say nothing even close to that, but I don't know.
No, very, very well known to just pull literally a verse, which is sometimes even just a phrase, not even a full sentence, and just be like, that right there, that one.
Yeah.
And like surrounding it is just like love and an explanation. And
Yeah.
they're like, we don't need that.
Yeah, the rest of it's bullshit. Just this.
Right. There's so many levels to that.
Yeah.
What you just said, they're so funny. Oh, man.
The group believed that there were 3 levels to Christianity, and of course, only one of them was actually good. Like any other crazy religion-based cult, these people hated Muslim people, and they thought they were out for world conquest.
They were a couple decades off. They would really thrive today.
Yeah. And I only mention this because a militaristic Christian sect doesn't sound much different than a militaristic Muslim sect. They are all both very dangerous, and neither is the true version of either religion.
I was going to say, that is so funny coming from somebody who calls himself Aggressive Christianity Mission Training Corps.
Yeah.
I mean, if the shoe fits.
Yeah, no shit. But of course, the New Mexico location would be a compound as well, and this means members would live there and lose contact with those that were not part of the cult. Just because people are seen in public does not mean that they have true contact with the outside world. They're being, paraded out there, but also kept away. The cult would control members' finances and isolate the members, making it hard to get help. They would also be withheld nutritious food and the right amount of food. On top of that, water and the needs to have good hygiene were withheld.
So we're a training corps. We're training our corps of people, but we ain't gonna feed you.
Training their nose not to worry about smell, I guess. I don't know.
Get it?
Yeah. Move a little ahead here. 2017 would see the lives of leader Deborah and Jim Green, as well as a few other high-ranking members and family members, change big time. Why is it so often that cults end up abusing people, especially children, and so often sexually? This is a quote from a Vice article. The investigation leading to Sunday's arrest began last year, when 2 female members of the group claimed to have escaped and told the Cibola County Sheriff's Office of almost unspeakable horrors. The Sheriff's Office arrest warrant asserts that General Deborah Green refused to allow a boy suffering a severe case of the flu to be taken to the hospital in 2014. According to one witness, after 3 weeks of illness, the 12-year-old's head became deformed and pus began leaking out of his forehead. The boy was said to lose the ability to speak or move his right side.
God.
Yeah. Green is described by the warrant as someone who does not believe in modern medicine, a claim she refuted to the sheriff's office, but cops assert she would tell members the sick are in sin and must repent to be healed.
This is like the deliverance of cults. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't understand, again, how you want to have this group and yet you don't want them to be in tip-top shape.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be going and proclaiming all of this stuff, you can't exactly expel demons on an empty stomach. That's all I'm saying.
It's really hard to brainwash people when they're fed and taken care of.
Yeah, it's true. Or when they can get mental health treatment. When the boy with the severe flu died, the warrant continued, he was buried on their property, and the authorities were not notified. The child's mother was no longer a member, although she was still arrested on this case. More charges would be laid as a girl from Uganda had been trafficked into the United States in the late 1990s and ended up at their compound. She was brought in as an infant, and you can only guess how bad things would go for this poor girl. She would be beaten and starved, treated like a slave, and more so, sexually abused over and over again. These sexual assaults and rapes would be done by Deborah Green and her son-in-law, Peter Green. Guess how old she was during these rapes, because it's fucking awful.
I'm going to guess 12.
I can't.
Yeah.
I won't.
These would take place before her 10th birthday.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Terrible.
Yes. I mean, just fucking awful.
we sit and we watch these movies with like these super villains, and they're fucking in our backyard. Like they're literally right there.
Yeah.
You know,
Every day, right in front of you.
Yeah.
Peter Green would end up with 100 counts of criminal sexual penetration of a minor. 100. Deborah's son Joshua was also arrested at this time. For his part, he was arrested for not registering the birth of a child to the state, which is illegal, especially when you're in a cult. But this was not a one-off incident, as many children were born and not registered at all. I mean, it is so much easier to horribly abuse children if no one knows they're even there, after all. Anytime police would be called out to the compound, they had a system to keep themselves safe. An alarm would go off, and all the children would scatter to the wind. Some would head off to the forest, while others would hide in an outhouse.
The alarm was Bo Diddley at the front going, "Hey, they're coming!"
Yeah. They managed to hide 18 different children from the authorities.
Oh, Jesus.
So here are all of the charges that were laid that day. Deborah Green, 70, criminal penetration of a minor, and child abuse and neglect leading to a child's death. Peter Green, 54, 100 counts of criminal sexual penetration of a girl at the compound. Joshua Green, failure to report a child's birth. Stacy Miller, 47, child abuse and neglect. Amos and Ruth River and Timothy and Victoria River, failure to report the birth of their children. When arrested, they had 11 children with them, ranging from 4 to 17. In the end, it seems that only Deborah and Peter would end up with charges that stuck. Deborah would be sentenced to 72 years in prison for her crimes. Somehow Peter Green would be released from prison in January 2020, and I cannot find any word on what the sentence was, so he might be out scot-free now. I don't know.
So my question is this, and either of you probably will know it. You know, I know sometimes with cults and things like that, they pull a RICO, don't they?
Yeah, I think
where they can apply like one thing to the entire cult or whatever, or group. Why wouldn't they have done that for this?
I'm not sure.
Never mind. It's a whole money thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even with no mention of Jim Green in the charges that I can find, he would end up with a 10-year prison sentence for child abuse. But I don't know why. I couldn't really find any reasoning for it. It just kind of was a little postscript for a lot of the things I read. Sometimes small good things can come out of terrible situations. In 2019, the Christianity Missionary Training Corps property was ordered to be sold by Judge Amanda Sanchez Villalobos. The money was to be doled out to the victims. The cult and hate group has been in rough shape since Deborah and Jim were sent to jail. At least some of the monsters in this case are in prison, with one of them likely not leaving for a very long time. I just find it maddening that Peter Green is walking the streets today. So let's finish this off with a quote from an article taken verbatim from the cult's dormant but still active website, just to make your blood boil. June 26, 2015, decision to make same-sex marriage the law of the land came not from Satan, but from God. What? That's right. We have for years told you this. We have said time after time over the years that unless America, and specifically the church, did not repent for their evil ways, God would use pink terrorism to, 1, call his true people out of the Babylonian Jesus churches and away from the worship of America, which is idolatry. 2, steal Satan's people from their evil, damnable ways. It is God who has unleashed gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and LGBTQ terrorism against the church in order to separate his true ones from the snakes, flakes, and fakes claiming to be his. We can truly be... This is a great move for God. But as the fallout from the pink stink sodomite bomb settles over the godless America, things are yet to take their final place. Christians and non-compliant non-Christians can still raise hell. Yeah, I'm going to stop reading that. But yeah.
Storm the Capitol.
Yeah. This is the same kind of crazy bullshit that they spew, right?
This is, and I don't know if you have access to this, Mike, but there was Eric, help me out, the Q, Enter the Storm or whatever. So this is what I'm thinking. I mean, this is very much a flip it to make it work for me because I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Therefore, we're going to flip it to make it work, which is exactly what quote Q did on a regular basis. So I'm probably going to get somebody's gonna find me now that I've even mentioned it on a podcast. But oh well. It is what it is. And yeah, that's so back asswards. It really is. The longer you read it, like I would have a hard time reading that out loud in general.
Yeah, well, and I hadn't read it out loud before, and I ended up stopping it because I was just like, fuck.
It's just the longer you read it,
Yeah.
the more you're out loud. It's like you hear yourself saying it, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's rough because it's just such garbage hate speech being spewed, but that's the kind of shit these people believed in.
That is the voice of a prophet. Thank you very much.
Yikes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'll just finish with saying this group is awful through and through. Like there's nothing good about them. They're just absolute trash.
1 out of 10 stars, does not recommend.
And it would be 0 if I could.
The food was shit.
What they gave me. No.
No, really, it was shit. It was
Probably
actual
was.
shit.
Literal shit.
Yeah, probably was.
I mean,
All
listen, if you just add a couple of beakers and maybe a white lab coat, you've got yourself Scientology. There's no difference.
All right. You ready to go then, Eric?
I'm ready. So I think it's really important to level set here for people that are not familiar with New Mexico. And one of the main reasons why New Mexico is particularly attractive to cults is that it is the 5th largest state by landmass, but it is one of the least populated states in the country. So we have 2 million people in the 5th largest state by landmass. 1 million of them live in Albuquerque.
Wow.
The other million is spread out very far. The next largest city probably has 150,000 people.
Holy crap.
So New Mexico is very open, lots of open land, lots of places to hide. So a lot of really crazy things happen here because of that. And cults love that shit.
They do.
Even Heaven's Gate made a little appearance here in New Mexico in the past as well. So lots of interesting things that happen here. And the other part of it, and please don't move here, anybody who's listening, is it's very, very affordable to live here. It's super, super cheap.
See ya.
I mean, it's very expensive. It's very expensive, and the crime is terrible. So don't come over here.
I mean, I wish, because we only have is it something like between 5 and 6 million here, and it's a massive province, bigger than California.
Yeah,
but also a home here in the Metro Vancouver area is plus $1 million.
Yeah.
So it's all of that, but also not affordable.
You could get a mansion for $350 here.
I can't even get my condo that I live in for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a 7,000 square foot, 10-bedroom house for $350.
Be right there.
$400.
Yeah, on my way.
Oh wait, the border's
Hey,
closed.
guys.
Never mind.
Guys, can we just create a compound and
Ooh.
we'll get a bunch of people in
You guys,
New
I think I'm getting a
Mexico?
message from beyond.
Yeah.
The prophet is speaking. Hold on, the prophet is speaking. Cook at 350 for 40 minutes.
So I actually covered this cult on my show, but
Nice.
I want to cover it again because it's so messed up. So Clayton, New Mexico is a teeny tiny town in the northeast corner of the state. It is really close to the border of Oklahoma and Texas. So the panhandles of both of those states kind of reach up and touch New Mexico.
Okay.
Clayton is about 10 miles from the Texas border and 11 miles from the Oklahoma border.
Wow.
Where Clayton is in Union County, which is basically on the eastern plains of New Mexico. So the middle of the state, the Rockies kind of run down through the whole middle of the state. To the east is the plains, and then to the west is more mountains and desert and stuff like that. So this is in the plains. It gets very cold there. The city of Clayton has a population of about 2,700 people.
Wow.
And in the outskirts of this town, one of the most infamous cults in New Mexico and even in the U.S. set up shop. And it would become known across the world because of the creepy antics of their leader, Wayne Curtis Bent.
Mm-hmm.
As his followers knew him, though, Michael Travesser.
I don't know if I know this one, actually.
Well, hold on to your butt cheeks.
Doing it right now.
So, Michael Travesser, I just feel like that's not a very good culty name, but okay. Sure.
Yeah, no.
He was born May 18th, 1941. He had a very tragic childhood. He lost his mother at a very young age. And according to him, somebody kidnapped and molested him as an adolescent. So in adulthood, he became a Seventh-day Adventist preacher and was divorced twice. In the 80s, he denounced his faith and decided to forge his own path. He said, quote, I began to hate life and see most human beings as disgusting in their lusts and behaviors.
Wow. Well, I mean, the more the coronavirus is going on right now, I kind of agree with some of those sentiments because people really piss me off these days, but I digress.
I think we've made a great case for, again, I think we should form a compound.
Yeah.
Story.
Wash your hands, everybody.
Please
Don't
wash
be
your
gross.
hands.
Wear a mask.
Yeah. He brought several members of the church with him, and they settled in Idaho. Didn't the other group settle? Or no, it was Montana.
I can't remember. They were in almost every state, I swear.
They were everywhere.
They were neighbors.
Florida. Yeah, they were Florida. Okay. So Michael then decided, he was there for about a decade, and then he decided, you know what, let's go to Clayton, New Mexico and start our compound. We're going to call it Strong City. It's kind of a cool name.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it could have used a little more workshopping.
Yeah, it's a strong name.
Yeah.
It.
So according to Michael, he had a spiritual experience in June of 2000. He said that he was sitting in his chair in his living room, and he claimed that God told him that he was the Messiah.
Oh.
And this is a quote. I am the embodiment of God. I am divinity and humanity combined.
Do you guys know? Have you ever seen Benny Hinn on TV before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Benny Hinn is one of those guys who he'll touch you and you'll fall. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of those fellas. He's the would Jesus wear a Rolex kind of a dude.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
Very Joel Osteen, except older. Anyways, I just imagine him like sitting in like basically macrame into his chair, just stuck there, and just all of a sudden Benny Hinn appears above his head, and he's just like, "You're a disciple. You're a Messiah."
I think we know his chair was covered in plastic.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a sin to sit on an actual chair.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it probably is.
You guys picked a real weird night for me, apparently.
So after he said that, he's like, guess what, everybody? God told me that he wants me to have sex with all your wives. Because that's what God does.
Yeah, it totally does. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to all the husbands in the compound, including his son, and says, hey, everybody, great news. I'm the Messiah, and it's time to bang your wives.
Giggity, giggity.
And he's like, if you're pissed off about it, talk to God, because this is God's will, not mine. And guess what? I can't do anything about it because God told me and I have to.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's a gift from God, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So, of course, he's like, but not only that, I've also decided that all of your marriages are dissolved now. And everyone is expected to change their names and give everything that they have to the cult.
That's not typical. Geez.
No. Children were not allowed to attend school because that would be a bad influence on them. And aside from cult indoctrination, there really wasn't any other education for kids. That's all they got.
What else do you need?
Yeah. That's all you need. Eventually, Michael decided that he would not only dissolve those marriages, but decide that these women were going to be his wives, all of them. And there's a documentary about this cult. It's really sad. You see this moment where he's explaining this to the documentary filmmaker, and his son is just heartbreak. Like, you just see the heartbreak that his wife was basically taken by his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just going into this like great detail about how he consummated with his son's wife several times. And you can literally see the pain in his eyes. It's just really, really sad and tragic.
And also, you know, as someone who's happily married, I wouldn't want more than one wife. No.
I'm good.
Check mark, you know, yeah, got that box.
So a bunch of people were like, screw this shit, I'm out of here. This cult has got too real for me. And so they left. And some parents even left without their kids because their kids were not allowed to leave. And the children were left in the care of Michael.
That is the worst thing with so many cults, is the only way you can escape sometimes is without your kids. And that's horrifying.
Which,
horrifying.
I mean, I assume with the hope that you are going to try and get him back some way, shape, or form. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
I mean, I don't have kids, but I've got, you know, nieces and nephews, and like one of my friends' kid who is kind of like family, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that happening to them.
And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse.
I believe it.
Oh, man.
It always does.
Sorry. So, of course, this is going to be a big problem coming up soon. And then guess what? Michael starts prophesying. And he tells his followers that because they were all there, they knew that he prophesied the attacks on 9/11 before they happened.
Oh.
They also claimed that he predicted the end of the world would be on October 31st, 2007.
He was right.
Yeah. So now we can officially call this a doomsday cult because he's like, the end of the world is coming. And as you can imagine, this only made the crazy get so much crazier. He said at one point, quote, people who don't receive me will be lost and destroyed, and people who accept my testimony will be saved. At some point during this documentary that I watched, some of the parents who left came back with the sheriff's department to try to get their kids. And the daughter that they were trying to get did not want to leave. So it got really intense. Apparently, Michael had given a sermon about being, quote, naked with God. And there is actually a scripture in the Bible that talks about this. And every time I've ever heard it discussed, it's all about being vulnerable and being open and transparent, as opposed to actually being physically naked. It's more about not hiding anything.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched the movie Dogma, and Alanis Morissette was pretty attractive in that movie, so I'd be naked with God.
Wow, that did not go where I thought that was going.
All I'm saying is that the payoff for that was amazing, Mike.
It was great. I'm not going to lie. So because of this sermon, many of the girls interpret, and I say girls on purpose, they are girls, interpret this as them needing to be physically naked with him.
Oh.
So apparently this happened several times with several young and underage girls, and they all go to him and ask if they can be naked with him. He says yes to each of them. This is according to them and according to him. There's no, I don't know what happened. You know, he could have been grooming them. A lot of things could have been happening, but this is what was officially testified in court.
Well, I mean, just listening to how he's taking all these people's wives and everything, the whole thing is grooming, right? From the adults and everything. You know, you have to groom all the husbands too to make them willing to give up their wives, right? Like the whole thing, it's a cult. It's all grooming.
Yeah, it's interesting the parallels between a cult leader and an abusive person, you know, physically, mentally, sexually abusive person. The way that they break people down, it's exactly the same in both of those. And it's interesting to look at it from that perspective. So I think you're right. I think that there's a tremendous amount of grooming that happens to everybody to get them to be in a cult in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So according to Michael, all he does is hold these girls, and that there's nothing sexual about it. But in one interview, he actually talks about how he treats the girls with the same respect as a medical doctor. And he says, quote, people are naked with their medical doctor, and their doctor even sticks their fingers into women's sexual parts. End quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah, I told you it was going to get worse.
Yeah.
One of the crazy things he did was he announced that he would require 7 virgins to conduct a ceremony that could help usher in the end of days.
What's the payoff? Is the end of days? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need this many people. I'm gonna need an ear of corn, and I'm gonna like what? There's so many, and then the end result is the end of days. I don't. Where's the payoff there for anybody?
I think we just need just to drop some domes over top of some of these doomsday cults and be like,
Yeah.
end of days, yeah, like just turn on like fire and brimstone like lights on the outside of the dome. Like just you go hide over there.
It's funny that you say
Oh
that.
shoot.
It's a very Rick and Morty solution.
For sure.
I love Under the Dome by Stephen King, but
So good.
Mhm. After this, the rest of the underage girls proceeded to do the same thing, including one of the girls, the one that was picked up by her parents and the sheriff. One girl even asked Michael to be naked as well. Several of them claimed that they felt that God wanted them to have sex with Michael, or AKA be abused by Michael.
yeah.
One even claimed that she would kill herself if he didn't do that with her. So, first of all, minors cannot have sex with adults.
No.
So let's just call that out. Let's just say that because it's true. It's abuse, it's rape, it's not sex.
Yeah. They can use that terminology wrongly, but yes, that is definitely not the case.
And I think that it says a lot about the level of grooming that was happening here, as opposed to the girls actually wanting this.
Oh, of course.
I think that it was definitely a very clear sign, and it's just completely horrifying. These girls were allegedly pleading with him. He claims that he did not because he felt God was testing him and that he was instructed by God to have sex with the girls. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
If your God is telling you to have sex with underage peoples, your God is garbage. So,
Right.
because, like real religions, that's not what a God would say. And I'm not a religious person at all, but I know that much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And also don't believe everything you think. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
Yes, the world is octagonal. Thereby.
Yeah.
But it's flat. It's hollow too.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. Around this time, one of the former members who left the cult with his wife and 2 daughters became concerned when he heard Bent talking about sleeping with the 7 virgins from the ceremony. He told Bent that it was wrong, and he was like, "Peace out. I'm out of here. I'm taking my daughter and my wife." There was only one boy that was living in Strong City. One adolescent boy. All the other kids were girls, which is weird. His parents had totally just left him there, and he was living alone in a hut. I think he was probably like 13 years old, but it almost felt like boys were not welcome there. He was not allowed to be involved in the rest of the cult activities. He was like off to the side.
That was my question. Is like, was there really just one there, or were there more at some point? And
yeah. Well, I mean, if there's a young boy and a bunch of young adolescent girls, what happens when you have a young boy and adolescent girls? There's attraction, even if it's not sexual at that point, right? There's attraction, and they're going to want to be together, and he wants the little girls for himself.
And I think that was a threat to Michael, so he was kind of ousted from the rest of the group. So eventually his parents came for him and his sister. Michael told them not to fight it, and he said, basically, when the end of the world comes, we'll be reunited again, so go with your parents.
That is the worst. That is literally the worst. It's like, yeah, you can go, but I want you to constantly hang on to the fact that we'll be together again, thereby making it near impossible for the parents. I mean, that is the final grooming.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I can't imagine as a parent.
And he even tried to convince the teens to have their parents sign over custody to their grandparents who were still in the cult. And then the sister went on a hunger strike at her mom's house and nearly starved herself to death. because she was protesting being with her parents.
Yeah.
Eventually, mom gave in and signed custody over to the grandparents.
Oh, God.
God.
Poor kid.
Going back to the end of the world that we missed, October 31st, 2007, apparently there was going to be a huge change, which he described as a change of body.
Mm.
So he believed, and his followers believed, that he would physically transform, and it could totally be interpreted in a bunch of different ways, which is why I feel like he was purposely vague, so that if anything happened or nothing happened, he could be right.
Yeah.
Journalists kind of showed up because he had been really publicizing this October 31st, 2007 situation. And they record this group of people from the compound walking and yelling as it gets closer to midnight. They're like blaring horns. They've got torches, and it's just like a really manic scene. And then the world didn't end, which was a bummer for him.
Yeah, no doubt.
She turned me into a newt.
But he was only 13 years off, you guys. I mean, he really wasn't that far off. 2020, that's when it really started.
Yeah, the world ended in March 2020.
Yeah.
And also, I know a lot of us have been transforming since March. You know, I've put on quite a bit of weight. That's quite a transformation.
I'm actually a semi-truck now.
Yeah.
So.
That's not even remotely true.
I'm still in shape. It's just more Buddha.
Yes. So Mike will be our Buddha for our cult.
Yes. Yes, you just gotta sit on a stage surrounded by incense with legs crossed. It's perfect, and you can drink beer.
As long as Buddha can drink beer, I'm in.
You're fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
there
go
we
ahead. But nobody else can.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's no fun, though. Everyone must drink beer in my cult.
God told me to tell you.
Dog told me.
And he's going to be pissed off if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
He's all about them hops.
So the world didn't end, but Michael did get arrested.
So he transformed into an orange jumpsuit.
Yes.
Correct.
Nice.
He wasn't wrong then.
No, he was arrested on May 6th, 2008. He went to trial and was convicted in December of 1 count of criminal sexual contact with a minor and 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. His defense really tried to stand on the position that there was no sexual contact because, according to Michael, he did not touch the girls on their private parts, even though they were both nude. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison, which was the maximum sentence for the charges at the time. And as a result of that and his arrest, he went on a hunger strike because he was trying to kill himself. He said he would not allow himself to be fed by the hand of the beast.
It's like the guy from Q is like,
yeah. I have dietary restrictions. This only strengthened the resolve of his son and the other cult members, which then said, "Oh my God, he's just like Jesus."
Just like Jesus.
Exactly like Jesus.
Yeah.
And they felt like Michael had been betrayed by a disciple and falsely accused of a crime he did not commit.
Did they also sing the Last Supper too? Like,
so in 2011, the New Mexico Appeals Court overturned convictions against Bent, citing the fact that the grand jury was not legally assembled in the original case. The state appealed the ruling to the New Mexico Supreme Court in 2012, and the New Mexico Court of Appeals ruling was overturned, and Bent was ordered to complete 4 more years of his sentence. He was released in 2016 on parole, mostly due to the fact that he had been diagnosed with cancer, which was threatening to take his hearing. And all the websites owned by the cult are offline. There's been little mention of the group since 2017. Don't really know what happened to them after that.
so here's my thing.
Okay.
There are so many people that die from things like cancer, etc., who had such smaller issues that are left in prison to rot and die there. But this man, in all of his BS, they said, we'll let him out.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you think the percentage of the population of the prisons in the United States and in Canada are just pot charges? I mean, even though pot's now legal in Canada all across the board federally, there's still people in jail probably for pot charges. I'm not sure what the numbers are. But,
Eric and I had this conversation that like legalizing is good, but unless the state follows it up with not absolving, what's the right word? I'm talking religion. I went absolving.
Abolishing I don't know.
No, but like
getting rid of the charges.
Yeah, as long as they forgive those charges, like that's the big thing. You know, that
pardoning,
is the
pardoning.
Thank you. You know, I mean, expunging those things. Now we're coming up with our 50-cent words here. You know, that's where it makes a difference. Yeah. That's where it makes the difference. You can legalize it, and that's great. And I think that across the nation, great. But you need to take some reform in terms of, you know, people going to jail for this much.
Yeah.
You know, and people can't see that, but I did a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Well, if you listen to my show, you'll hear there's so many problems with the legal system in New Mexico and
everywhere.
Yeah. I'm sure it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm hyper focused on my state because of my show and because of what I look at and what's been happening here for a long time. And particularly when you look at child abuse cases and child sexual abuse cases, just the sentencing alone is not conducive to match the crime. And it's frustrating, you know, when you see something like a life sentence here is 30 years. So conceivably, if you're 18 and you kill somebody, you could be out before you're 50.
Yeah, it's the same in Canada. Actually, 30 years is a life sentence. Although if you're deemed a dangerous offender or whatever, it can be indefinite kind of thing. But yeah, 30 years is technically the max sentence in Canada.
Yeah, and you're only required to serve 80% of that in New Mexico.
Yeah, what's the point of actually giving the 30-year sentence, right? Yeah, same thing happens here.
Why are we calling it a life sentence then? Because it's really not.
And then, like, I don't know about there, but here, if you're in jail before you're sentenced, you get...
They count it.
They count it, but more than 1-to-1. It's like 1.5 to 2-to-1 or whatever for... So if you're in jail for a year before you're sentenced, you might get 1.5 years or 2 years off your sentence, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my creepy cult.
That is for sure.
Mission accomplished.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer.
Why can't cults just be sunshine and rainbows and happiness? They never are.
Well, they start out that way sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's why we got you as Buddha, Mike.
Yep.
We're going to hyperimpose just like a rainbow above. It's going to be perfect. I love it. I love it.
I'll take it.
It's going to be a multicolored wall around the compound.
Everybody has to wear Crocs.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I'm actually like rethinking this now.
Or toe shoes. Toe shoes can work as well. Anything equally hideous to Crocs is fine.
I'm more of a hiker person, like, you know.
So bare feet.
Okay, yeah. Oh man. Well, that's quite the case. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you are. There is some crazy cults. Your state definitely sounds like it's got a lot of them. There's less cults here, but there's been some really horrendous cults here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I think my neck of the woods, like you're talking Western Virginia, but also Western North Carolina, which is Nantahala, right? Which is all the sovereign citizens. It's the Church of Identity or whatnot. It's all of them too. So
yeah,
it is consistently across the board. What they choose to focus on might be a little bit different, but ultimately it all falls under an incomprehensible misunderstanding of a book.
Mm-hmm.
And also some other psychological issues, but
yeah, or maybe a different book, but
yeah,
right. Maybe written by some guy out of Germany or something. Christian Identity.
Did. Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Oh geez, cults, man, they're the ultimate letdown.
Yes, they are.
It's always fascinating to me though. Like I just, I want to know why is that a thing? And why is it so? And you find people from all walks of life that just get sucked into it.
Mm-hmm.
Before they even know it, they're like completely gone. it's creepy. It creeps me out, but it also keeps me fascinated by it because I want to understand it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's one of those really fascinating topics in general because there are so many and they're so varied, and also they always boil down to the same shit in the end, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it really speaks to those leaders' charisma.
Yeah.
You know, you can do a lot with charisma. You don't even have to have a high level of intelligence.
No.
And uniqueness.
But if you can,
nerve,
yeah,
talent.
if you can, yeah.
If you can get someone to follow you, then, you know, sky's the limit. I can think of a cult leader of a country right now.
I just want to say that Eric successfully connected Drag Race to the cult leaders.
I actually missed that.
That was amazing. Uniqueness,
it was really
talent, and
subtle.
nerve. It was
really
beautiful.
subtle.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't going to let it go without calling it out.
Oh,
It was fantastic.
Man. Well, since we're gonna, I guess, slowly wrap this up here, your show is a little more serious than this episode has been. So maybe, Eric, can you tell people just a little more about your show and kind of the kind of cases you highlight on, you know, the weekly basis or whatever?
Yeah, sure. So I started the show because I had some injustice in my family. My brother was murdered and his killer was never charged, never prosecuted. And I kept watching cases similar to his coming through on the news, and I kept saying things like, somebody should really do something. Somebody should really say something. Nobody ever did or said anything. So I said, well, I guess I should do something. I should say something. So I started True Consequences to highlight the injustice that's happening here. Yeah, I do have some episodes that are more lighthearted. I get a lot of shit for those because people are really expecting me to be 100% super serious all the time. And then when I'm too serious, then it's like I'm monotone and I'm not having enough fun. So I can't win. But
sometimes you just got to lighten things up, right?
Yeah, well, for my own sake and for my own sanity. So every now and then I'll bring in a friend who can make me laugh about stuff, and that's for my sake. So, but basically, I really try to focus on cases where family members need justice and allow them my platform to say what they need to say without having to worry about me editing it with a slant or an angle or a spin, and really just giving them that authentic space where they can be heard. And it's very fulfilling, very rewarding. A lot of it is very sad. I do cover a lot of child cases, and people don't necessarily like to hear that sometimes, but I think they're very important.
Yes.
And so that's True Consequences. It's, you know, I like to think of it as true crime with an empathetic lens and with a heart, which is something that I hope that is going to be the future of true crime.
And I really like to, that sometimes you've actually had family members of the victim on, which is both, it has to be like really tough, but also it's amazing for them to have their voice put out there because it's hard, right?
Yeah. Mainstream news, if you don't have anything new to say about the case, they really don't want to talk to you about it. And so I don't really care about that. I just care about helping people find justice and helping people find their voice. So, you know, I always try to be respectful. I don't always get it right, but I try very hard. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one's ever going to get it perfect every time, right? You do your best and that's all you can do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining. This has been amazing. And thank you for coming back again, JT.
Pretty soon, you're just going to be like, no, not again.
No. It'll be
No.
JT. You don't get a choice. You're going to be here all the time.
I ain't pulling that many fans. I promise you that.
Thanks for tuning into Brew Crime. You can find us on all social media platforms at Brew Crime. We have a Facebook group at Brew Crime Group. If you would like to support the show, you can head to patreon.com/brewcrime now. Money goes towards upgrading equipment and making the show that much better. You get one bonus episode a month, as well as early ad-free access to our episodes. So shout out to our Patreon supporters. True Crime Nana, 3 Beers In Podcast, Amber, The Faves of Our Lives. Cheers. All cases found on Brew Crime are written by Mike or the guest that appears on that episode, and the sources are put into the show notes for each episode. We always want to give credit to the people that research the cases we talk about. Check out the store at tpublic.com/stores/brew-crime-podcast, where you can purchase gear like t-shirts, phone cases, stickers, pillows, and all kinds of other cool stuff. Brew Crime's intro was created by Mike using Creative Commons Attribution License audio from purple-planet.com, soundbible.com, and freesoundeffects.com. Logo design by Ben Greenberg. Thanks for listening to this podcast, and it's been a production of Pacific Beer Chat.
Hello, this is Eric Carter-Landin, the host and producer of True Consequences, a true crime and mystery podcast with stories based in New Mexico and the American Desert Southwest. We'll uncover cases such as the Toy Box Killer, one of the worst serial rapists and suspected serial killers in New Mexico's history. We will also discuss mysteries such as alien sightings, as well as hauntings and other weird things that happen in this area of the country. I hope you'll give me a chance and listen to True Consequences. I think you might enjoy it. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Hi, I'm Eric Carter-Landin, and you might know me from True Consequences podcast.
And I'm Alex, and you may not know me at all.
And we are Dos Spookqueños.
Join us weekly as we tell you all about the paranormal in New Mexico.
We will cover aliens, ghosts, and other weird happenings and phenomena.
You can find Dos Spookqueños wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay spooky, and don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review Dos Spookqueños. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dos Spookqueños. Peace!
Eric.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and watch Mike pour it, and then I'm gonna watch him take a sip of it, and hopefully some of it gets stuck in his beard. It's not, it's not Flavor Aid, and you're not in a bunk bed thinking that a spaceship's gonna come get you. So you're doing good.
You don't know
you're
my
2
life.
for 2.
You don't know my life.
You're right. I know enough of it.
Yeah.
I'm in a bunk bed right now.
That's a very spacious bunk bed.
It is.
It comes with maps.
Yes.
Interstellar maps. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's the map to the floor, so you can get off the bunk bed.
Literally, it's gonna be all laughing this whole time, minus the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
No.
Sorry.
Damn Nickelback. Oh, what's that right-wing radio host and TV host that's always screaming?
What is that guy's name?
Don't blank. But yeah, really angry. Veins popping out of your head.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck.
No.
Rush Limbaugh.
No.
Sean Hannity.
No. Oh, shoot. What's his name? Whatever. It doesn't matter that much.
Oh, it's going to drive me nuts, though.
Okay.
I'll tell you that much right now.
The problem is there's so many of them.
There are and there aren't. They're just so loud.
Yeah.
Not Mark Levin. Rush Limbaugh?
No.
Because you end up seeing... What? Eric?
They're
Oh, you're muted there, Eric. And at first, represent.
that's racist.
Is it?
I didn't edit that out. Sorry, Michael.
No.
Why's it got to be brown?
Oh, I see. See, I'm turning all red now because I was like, what did I say? What did I do? Oh, my God.
Oh, jeez.
Not that I have credibility to begin with.
Yeah.
I almost made a terrible joke. Mike, you ready to cut this one out? Here it goes.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry.
I don't know.
I feel bad. I feel bad saying it.
Americans like guns more.
I just feel like, yeah, it's accurate. I just feel like I'm surrounded by friends here.
Yes. I think that's it. VILLALOBOS or Villalobos? Okay. Cult and hate group was the cult.
I just decided I was gonna hit all the big things tonight, Mike. I'm just gonna trash everybody tonight, apparently.
Yep. I can't wait for you to be doxxed. It's gonna happen now.
We said the S word, therefore you're gonna get a piece of paper.
Oh man. All right.
You can go and meet with Leah Ramini and she'll interview you. It'll be fine.
Reminder, minor